Sounds good.
Welcome to Birds of a Feather. This is your girl AJ, the Suburban Princess here, chilling in my room today because I felt like, well, I ain't gonna lie, I just woke up, but whatever. I felt like getting together with one of my favorite people that I met through Twitter, through various other Twitter friends, whose personality is just oozes through Twitter when we ever have a sports talk, battles, men, women, whatever. And Keiana's getting into a lot of different stuff with gaming. So welcome, my guest, Keiana. Thanks for doing this for me. I appreciate
Appreciate
you.
you having me. I hope you're having a great day.
Yes, I am, and I'm very happy as a female to female. You know that loving to talk sports is definitely interesting when it comes to some of these Twitter guys who decide to try to put us in our place as females, like we don't know what we're talking about. But you're one of the people that I admire because I feel like you have a lot more respect from some of even these national pundits when I've seen you tweet back and forth. So I said, Keiana got something to talk about, and you better respect real mama eagle on Twitter. So first of all, my first question has always been an icebreaker. So usually when I started this last year, it was in the midst of 2020, and obviously 2020 was mad crazy. So I
Yeah.
ask people usually, what is your one word if you could define 2020 as a whole now that it's over?
For me or just in general,
Just in general.
I would say resiliency is a good word for it. And I know people might think it was terrible, but I think that 2020 for a lot of people was a year of self discovery because you were put in a situation that you would not have been put in otherwise. And you're forced to be home and do life a bit differently. So
Mhm.
having to navigate around that and adjust to that, it was definitely character building. So I think that's a good word.
Definitely resiliency. I love it. Um, and also too, you being a mother of two beautiful boys who have mad personality, who I literally fell in love with virtually through Twitter, like I know you. Um, I met you through a mutual friend of ours, Terry, who I used to work with at
Terry.
Link, and because we all love sports, obviously, and Terry even more so than me, and I think she's the one who basically kind of got me back into Twitter because at first when I joined it, I had no idea what I was doing. Um, Tell me what it's been like being a mom of two boys, because literally you look like you're like 16, so I don't even know how you did.
Ah,
But what is it like in general, just especially in this climate? What is it like having two young boys in this kind of crazy climate we're going through politically, socially? Tell me what your fears, what your
yeah.
hopes, what your dreams are as a mother of two young boys.
So my kids aren't old enough to be in school yet. So for me, it's just more so just shaping their young minds to be ready for school. But it's tough in this climate because um, they don't get a chance to be exposed to as much like the interaction with other children, things like that. They don't get because of quarantine. And I will be honest, obviously being a black woman, my kids are black. They will grow up that way, and I do wonder how they'll be looked at when it comes time for jobs, when it comes time for school. However, any opportunities that they get, I don't want that to be a reason they don't get an opportunity. So I do worry. But being a mother of two boys is very chaotic. it's it's challenging. I don't sleep, but it's definitely worth it.
Yes, and I feel like, now how long have you been married to? I was going to ask.
About almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years. Okay. And so
Yeah, almost 4 years.
for someone like me who's a single gal who's never even thought about marriage too far ahead, what would you feel like is the advice for those of us who kind of have a slight fear of marriage and commitment? What has it been like for you, being newly married, should I say?
I mean, it's been great for me because I am married to someone who has a lot of things in common with me. We both love sports. We both love video games. We're both just chill and funny. We like a lot of the similar things. We're just very relaxed people.
Mhm.
I can't blame anyone who's not married for having any apprehension about marriage because it's scary. A lot of people get divorced all the time. Divorce rates are high. People marry the wrong person for the wrong reasons. So I get that. I don't think that anyone should be pressured into getting married. I think you should do it when you're ready. There's no right time to do it. It's just whenever you feel. And I also would say that if you decide not to get married, it's okay. You shouldn't be shamed because you didn't get married. I would say just focus on finding someone who's right for you and believes the things you get. Know someone's bottom line before you even take that plunge,
Yeah.
or it could down the line be really bad. Yeah.
Do you feel even, because I'm learning too as being a single woman, and honestly I don't even care much about it anymore. I feel like dating is almost like impossible at this point, and I don't feel like,
Oof.
especially with the quarantine, it's really helping.
Yeah.
And as when you were single, even before you got married, did you even think about getting married, or was it something that you were like, if it happens, it happens?
Like being I'm a hopeless romantic type, to be honest. So I always wanted that, always thought about that. So it was always a plan. I just thought it would happen to me a lot younger. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna get married when I'm 23, 24. I got married when I was 29. So, sometimes it happens a little bit different than you expect, but I did always think that I would.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Okay, so now we're going to switch back to sports, because obviously that's one of the reasons why I definitely love having you as a Twitter buddy that I can tweet. Um, the view of women, like I say, is it's to me, it's becoming more powerful the more that we deal with these dudes in the basement who just always want to assume that women don't know anything about sports. Tell me
Right.
what you've learned a lot about being, especially with social media, as a female. What do you think is the main reason why there are men out there who do like to patronize us, antagonize us when it comes to sports? What do you think is the real problem or the issue they have?
I think there's a stigma and there's an assumption that we don't know anything,
Mhm.
because we're women, because they expect us to be doing traditional house activities like cooking and cleaning, and we're still doing those things, but we're sports fans too. And there's a lot of, and because of that, because of the assumptions, I also think it ties into the fact that a lot of men played sports. There are more sports leagues available to men than women. So a lot of men assume because a woman didn't play, she doesn't know anything. But if you live in my household where you have a dad who basically said you're going to like sports, you're going to learn this, you're going to learn that, you grow up learning all these things that even by not playing the game. So I think a lot of it too with some men, not all, some is insecurity. I feel like some think that if a woman knows more than them, it makes them less of a man. Like that's just how I feel. Some see it.
I agree. And I think that especially when it gets to the point where you go back and forth, and I'm trying to learn myself to cut myself off because it's such a waste of a conversation, a waste of space.
Yeah.
Especially because 9 times out of 10, they probably seek, and this probably even goes back to grade school, but some of them secretly, I think, like you or like the fact that
It could be. I mean, it could be. Yeah.
it could be. Because I mean, honestly, I don't think that childish mentality really ever dies. Especially with
No.
now. I know you're married and all, but you know that you see me always obsess over Mike Scott and people in the sports world. Have you ever had a sports crush?
Honestly, when I was growing up, I had an AI crush. Like I had like, and he was one of the biggest reasons I actually started watching basketball.
Name.
Only mainly because my dad was like, "There's this great kid coming out of Georgetown. You're gonna love him. You should watch the Sixers." And I was really young then, so I was like, you know what, fine. But he was a good looking dude, and
Yeah.
young me, like I said, that was definitely my first crush.
He still is. He still is even now to me. I think he's still very
Still
attractive.
very good looking now.
Yeah, still very good
Absolutely,
looking.
yeah.
And he's still the golden standard for the Sixers now, because obviously at this point, there's not too many guys. They're trying hard, but there's not too many guys that had a hustle consistently like AI did. And I respect him in that sense still. Okay, so
Oh
the
yeah,
last thing I'm going to discuss, because it has to be discussed, because I was just talking with Erock yesterday. Your thoughts on
yeah.
this new Eagles head coach?
I am always fond of up and coming coordinators. I actually get very nervous with retreads. It just seems like up and coming coordinators are the way to go. And here's why I like this guy. A lot of people don't know a lot about Nick Sirianni. He's really tough. He played ball. He played in college. He actually suffered a horrific injury and bounced back from that injury, showed a lot of toughness. So he's been through a lot of things these players go through. He's also coached wide receivers. He's coached quarterbacks. He's worked with Cornell, with Lynn, many different Frank Reich, many different coaches. So he's seen multiple coaching schemes. He's seen multiple coaching styles, and like I said, multiple positions. Coach guys like Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers had two really good seasons under Sirianni's quarterbacks coach. So this guy has a lot more experience than people are giving him credit for. So I think it'll be really good for the players. He's younger. He can relate to some of the players. I think that's a benefit, and I'm really excited.
Well, I'm glad you are, because I know that I'm a little. Actually, I'm kind of neutral, because at this point, I'm kind of tired with the Eagles
Yeah, I
right
mean,
now.
that's honestly, it's fair. And anyone who's nervous about it, it's fair. I understand, but based off research, I'm feeling pretty confident. And I haven't I came into this search with an open mind, and I think
Right.
everyone else should be.
You should. And at this point, like I said, I think I'm only excited about the schedule this year, because if we can fly by then. I have to admit, I
Yeah.
am kind of circling the idea of the Eagles going to Vegas for the Raiders
I
game.
know.
I think that game might have to be a destination, if anything, if I can go. Because I've been to Vegas, I've had fun in Vegas, but I definitely would love to go inside of that stadium. Would you actually want to travel to any of the away games once, everything kind of opens back up, or are you still kind of apprehensive?
Vegas was actually on my list if things were to be open. That was the first one.
Mhm.
Whenever they go back to LA over the next couple seasons, whether it's Chargers or Rams, I would love to go out there. I think that'd be fantastic. But I also want to get to a couple East Coast games, maybe go back up to New York, Eagles, Giants,
Mhm.
because I haven't been up there since I was a kid.
Mhm.
So yeah, but mainly Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas, and I think even 2 seasons ago when they went to Miami, I wanted to go to Miami, and then of course, obviously, we know how that game went. So I think I would have still had fun, but I would have been mad about that outcome, about how they lost that game because they had that game. Um, but also to wrap it up, I just wanted to say that it's definitely interesting to see you in the gaming world. So tell me what brought into this gaming passion and the streaming life that you do, that because it's very fascinating. I don't understand gaming, but I wanted you to shed some light on it.
Yeah. It's great. I've been gaming since I was a kid, like back to Nintendo, Super Nintendo days. So this goes back to the, early 90s.
Hmm.
Like I said, I've been gaming ever since, never stopped. We have a lot of we've owned almost every system, me and Mark, and we collect them.
Hmm.
Um, but I think because I've always been very extroverted and just never been shy about talking and communicating, I decided to bring that over to Twitch with the interaction, have people get to know me while bonding over video games. And it's been amazing. It's been truly, truly unbelievable how supportive people have been and the people I've gotten to know and the people that not only respect me for my video game knowledge, but respect me for my sports knowledge because I brought that to Twitch as well. So it's been really great.
I definitely love the fun headphones because I always tell you every time I see a
Oh
picture,
yeah.
I'm like, all right, Key with the ears, okay. I know 'cause my nephew has his and stuff, and he's growing a fro and stuff like that. And he's chilling in his chair. I'm like, all right, Massimo, what can Auntie get you for Christmas? And he's like, nah, I don't need anything. I'm good. I'm like, I don't know what to do for him, my sweet little nephew, but he's so into it, and I think it's definitely something that's coming on the rise because are they delayed? Don't they have like sports channels now for gaming? Like now there's a kind of like an avenue for watching matches. I think on TV. I think is that
Yeah,
a big thing now?
they have like esports stuff and what
Yeah.
they're watching. Like you can actually broadcast like the games through Amazon on Twitch. There's a lot you can do now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. With Amazon now, they're airing the games even for the playoffs, which I kind of actually
Yep.
thought was exciting at one point because I was like torn between watching Amazon Prime and then watching a game and then watching a game actually on TV. I was like, too much going on. But I
Yep.
definitely thank you for doing this with me because like I said, it's always nice to hear other females have a point of view of sports. And I'm probably even late to the train because even when I used to work with Terry, I did not know how long she was so into sports. But it's definitely refreshing to hear a female actually know what the hell she's talking about and watch the games from beginning to end because I have friends that just tune out and I can't. I'm the type of person I'm like I have to watch till the very end till it's 0-0.
Oh yeah, same. And that's how I've always been. And I met Terry when I was 18 and she's always been like that. So
Yes, very funny.
definitely good
She's definitely,
stuff.
I mean, yeah. Well, anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, but I was gonna say if you have any questions for me, it's cool. If not, I'm definitely. It's been a
Yeah, I have one.
pleasure. Go ahead.
I got one.
Okay.
Yeah. What got you into sports? Because I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Like, how did you start?
I'm like you were when my parents were married at one they're divorced now, but my father was always yelling at the TV growing up, and it used to get to the point
You
where
were like, why?
I couldn't understand like I every sports, Phillies, Sixers, Eagles, everything. He wasn't into hockey, but I think every now and then he gave it a try. But AI always made him real hype. McNabb frustrated the hell out of him. And it wasn't, I don't think, until the Super Bowl, because coincidentally that year that we went to the Super Bowl. My sister was giving birth. Her husband is in the military, and they were in Italy. We had to get on a plane the day of the Super Bowl. That was hard because I wanted to see it, and my dad actually watched the whole thing, and we wouldn't find the results till we landed in Italy. And turns out I was flying with a guy who was a Patriot fan, and it wasn't until we touched Italy that I found out what happened.
Oh man.
So that was a little painful, but through my father, and basically like you said, I think I really always love AI, but I kind of had like little fascinations with football, mostly because one of it started with Mike Vick when he was in the Falcons. I was obsessed with Mike Vick. I wanted to get a starter jacket. My dad got me a starter jacket. I wasn't really hardcore into the Eagles, I don't think, until the year before the Super Bowl, and then I started to tune in.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was kind of late. That's why I say, like, it's like some people who are purists, like I'm like, I can't act like I'm a purist, but I was aware, I just wasn't into it. But I really got hardcore around that time just before the Super Bowl, and I started to understand the dynamics of football. But I really got into it, obviously, when Mike Vick came on
Hmm.
the team, and I was working at the Link then as an event staffer. And I'll never forget the day they announced he was going to be on the team, and I kind of almost choked on my pretzel because I was on lunch break, and they had announced
I
it.
was at a preseason game when that was announced.
Yes, it was preseason. Yes, because I was in
Yep.
the back, and I was in one of the inline stands. I was taking a break, and I had grabbed a pretzel, and literally as soon as I heard something on the PA system, I'm sitting there going, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, Mike Vick is going to be on the." And in my head, I just thought, "You guys are so about public, a good persona and everything." I'm like, "Why would they bring Mike Vick on the team?" And then it became such a fascination. But I loved when he was in his heyday there. That to me is what really kind of really sucked me in, because at that point I was really fascinated with the dynamics of how the Eagles
Hmm.
worked. But yeah, I mean, honestly, through my father. I mean, honestly, you mostly, if you had a passion for sports around you on some level, it influenced you, and it became conversations with cousins and stuff, because some of my cousins from Jersey are Cowboys fans. So that
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, so that's how I got into it, and then it just became the whole crush factor. Every other year I had a different crush, and it started with LJ Smith, and then from that point on, some
Look,
guys.
LJ Smith was definitely cute. Like I
He was a
said,
hottie.
I
He was,
remember.
he
Yeah.
wasn't the best catcher, fine, whatever. He had some good days, but in general, I always loved him. And at that time too, they were starting to let players have like personality segments on shows, and he used to do a bit at Champs up in Cherry Hill. And me and my friend used to go there every now and then just to hang out. And I remember he used to do bits there, and that's when I really started
Yeah.
to love him. But yeah, so now it's like I look at it for the sport that it is, and now I'm trying to challenge myself into hockey, and so I'm trying to learn hockey, and it's still kind of confusing to me at times, like the penalties and stuff. But I do like Konechny now; he's become a crush. But I also just like the when they had the stadium series a couple years ago. That was really fascinating how that went off, because I wasn't working at the Link then anymore, but I was fascinated how it made Philly look. It just looked really good. It ended up being a very competitive game, and yeah, so I'm trying to slowly understand hockey now. But yeah, football is always going to
Yeah,
be.
Flyers are great.
Flyers are great now, especially now. I feel like
Yeah.
they made the changes they finally needed to do to their organization. And I'm one of these people that I wish the Eagles would kind of do a little more in the front office portion, but we'll see what happens. But but yeah, I appreciate you for taking the time. I know you got a busy schedule, but I'm so happy that you decided to do this. And
I'm happy too.
more
Thank you for
more
having
power,
me.
more power to us as females in sports. You just keep doing what you got to do on the game front. And I do love to support the sponsor. You have a grinding coffee. They have great K cups, so I do like
Oh,
that.
yes, they do. Yes, they do. They
Yes,
definitely
honey.
do. And like I said,
Plug them.
I enjoy what you're doing. Keep it up. It looks
Yes,
great.
yes. Thank you very much. And like my audience, I'll just say, when they put this on Birds of a Feather, please check it out once I upload, and check Keiana out on all her venues, on especially on Twitter and Twitch. And yeah, we'll be back with another guest. Thank you, Key. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.